Of Honour, Yang Berhormat Senator Datuk Seri Amir Hamzah Azizan to deliver his keynote address.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Excellency Seri Erawan, Indonesia's Deputy Minister for Coordination of State-Owned Enterprises, Management and Business Development, Coordinating Ministry of Economic Affairs. Yang berbahagia Tan Sri Abdul Farid alias Bursa Chairman, Yang Bursa Dr. Hasnita Hashim, Maybank Investment Bank Group Chairman, distinguished guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and Salam Malaysia Madani. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor for me to be here to speak at Invest ASEAN Conference 2025. I'm sure a lot of you are eager to hear what's on the horizon in terms of planning and moving forward, policy forward. In times of great uncertainty, clarity is always in great demand. I believe the best thing I can do today is to try to add some clarity. I can't guarantee you a crystal ball, but I will try to do my very best in sharing some things that are important from the Malaysian perspective. Global headwinds, tighter focus. Let me begin today by talking about today's headwinds. Today's headwinds rise and fall and shift at the greater intensities, driving volatility throughout the global trading system. Rising geopolitical tensions and frequent natural disasters add to the economic pressures across the globe. Malaysia is fortunate to be well integrated into ASEAN. The region has a population of close to 700 million people with a GDP of over $4 trillion in global trade. ASEAN accounted for 8% of global trade, 5% of global value add, and have extracted 17% of global FDI, reaching a record of 230 billion despite declining global flows. The Kuala Lumpur Declaration on ASEAN 2045, Our Shared Future, marks a significant milestone in a journey towards deeper regional integration. Priorities include regional leadership in global affairs, a focus on digital and green economies, greater inclusivity, and sustainability and resilience. The ASEAN Economic Community AEC Blueprint 2025 was instrumental in driving key regional policy developments, including ASEAN Comprehensive Investment Agreement, the ASEAN Trade in Goods Agreement, the ASEAN Framework Agreement on Services, and the ASEAN Trade in Services Agreement. These agreements enable significant strides in trade liberalization, investment facilitation, MSME development, digital transformation, and sustainable economic initiatives, the key developments that will help build the region into a strong single market and production base. The scale of the impact is immense. This is why collaboration, cooperation, and a deep understanding and appreciation of diversity in all forms are key priorities. It reminds us that we are not alone, and there is much that we can achieve together. ASEAN also contributes to Malaysia's growth and resilience. The nation's 2025 growth is forecast and targeted to be between 4.5% to 5.5%. While we will remain confident that we will strive to achieve this, any revisions, should be necessary, will likely be on a smaller end. In the first quarter of 2025, the economy grew at 4.4% year-on-year. Services, manufacturing, domestic demand, sustained private consumption, and gross fixed capital formation continued to expand and help cushion the moderation in exports and imports of goods and services. For example, ASEAN's contribution to Malaysia's growth through tourism. In 2024, we welcomed 25 million international tourist arrivals. The gross value added of tourism industries reached 251.1 billion ringgit, which is about 14% of the GDP. Q1 of 2025, we've already seen 10 million visitors, of which 2/3 are coming from ASEAN. Clearly, ASEAN makes a big impact for the Malaysian economy. Apart from being drawn to Malaysia for conferences, urban shopping, economic tourism, newer strategic sectors such as medical tourism and education are beginning to gain momentum, with Malaysia emerging as a regional hub for these offerings. Two-way intra-ASEAN trade is another strong contributor. In 2024, trade with ASEAN markets improved 6.1% to 765 billion ringgit, accounting for 26.6% of Malaysia's trade. This was made up of exports, which increased 4.2% to 437.9 billion, and imports, which picked up 8.9% to 327.17 billion. A long history of collaboration and cooperation allows for rapid progress on large-scale projects such as JSEZ. Since the official signing in January this year, the Invest Malaysia Facilitation Center in Johor recorded 439 inquiries, identified 57 potential investments worth 26.2 billion, and secured 6 committed investments totaling 16.7 billion ringgit. It has proven to be an important catalyst for Johor, with Malaysian and Singaporean banks providing financing support, enhancing international visibility, and engaging key stakeholders. Thus far, the state of Johor has reported securing 30.1 billion in approved investments in the first quarter of 2025 and aims to attract more than 100 billion by the end of this year. Within the JSEZ, the Forest City Special Financial Zone is capitalizing on the rising popularity of family offices in a period where wealth pool of affluent and mass affluent individuals in Asia is projected to reach 4.7 trillion by 2026, up from only 2.7 trillion in 2021. With a competitive tax rate, family offices are required to have a minimum of 30 million AUM for the first 10 years and expected to increase the AUM to 50 million within the next 10 years. The Invest Malaysia Facilitation Center in Johor has already received 250 inquiries, and thus far 32 companies have signed an expression of interest, with 19 looking to establish family offices. 2 companies already have also secured approvals from the Securities Commission, marking them as pioneers in the zone. Less than 2 years ago, the Malaysian government launched the Ekonomi Madani Economic Framework, designed to elevate economic potential while ensuring broad-based inclusivity. It allows us to build a more stable society and a conducive environment for long-term progress. The new Industrial Master Plan 2030 is a significant shift towards mission-based industrial development, and it has seen 95 billion in committed investments over 7 years and targets the transformation of 3,000 smart factories. The National Semiconductor Strategy has been backed by $5.3 billion in fiscal support and has already attracted 55.8 billion in electrical and electronics investments throughout 2024. Meanwhile, the National Energy Transition Roadmap is making good progress towards ambitious renewable energy capacity targets. And it is expected that by 2035 to hit 40% and 70% by 2050. driven by flagship projects such as hybrid hydro, floating solar, and expanding renewable energy zones. These projects also build ASEAN integration. Each one aligns with the global ESG standards, contributes to greater industrial development, and has the potential to build the depth and breadth and capabilities of regional supply chains, where every nation can harness its advantages and unlock regional-level economic multipliers. A good example is visible in Malaysia's effort to spearhead the first phase of the ASEAN regional power grid, where renewable energy from Vietnam is exported through submarine cables and connected to the Malaysian power grid to reach consumers in Malaysia and subsequently also to Singapore. Future phases will also involve expansion reaching Cambodia, Thailand, Indonesia, and eastern Malaysian state of Sarawak, connecting production to demand. This will open up pathways for scalable model of cross-border renewable energy cooperation in Southeast Asia. It serves as an economic stimulus, driving investments and large-scale development as Vietnam aspires to become the center for offshore wind generation in the region, while Singapore will be looking at importing around 6 gigawatts of local low-carbon electricity by 2035, which is about a third of the nation's demand. And for Malaysia, we will also depend on the ASEAN power grid for some of our own consumption in country, and also at the same time develop Malaysia as a power transit hub via transnational green infrastructure to support the growth of the country. Much closer to home, the commitment to Malaysia's fiscal consolidation remains in sharp focus. In 2024, we achieved a budget deficit of 4.1% to GDP, better than the official target of 4.3%. This year, we are targeting 3.8% for 2025 and staying consistent with the target aspired in the Public Finance and Responsibility Act 2023 to reduce the deficit to 3% in the medium term. This has not been an easy journey, but we have made huge strides when we compare that we started off 2022 at 6.4% budget deficit. These will be accomplished through revenue-enhancing measures, tax system efficiency, and taxpayer compliance. These various sources of revenues provide the fiscal space to invest in building capacity in the nation's infrastructure, talent, and cost effectiveness, which corporates and businesses rely on. In many ways, it is an equitable partnership that drives shared progress. The most talked about, challenges that we're focusing on today is a targeted subsidy rationalization on fuel. Diesel subsidy rationalization was implemented on 10th of June last year, and rationalization for RON 95 is expected to begin in the second half of 2025. Currently, we are focused in the final details of the subsidy rationalization for RON 95. But just as we did with diesel, the goal is to ensure that we plug leakages and ensure that businesses and wealthy contribute their fair share so that we have fiscal strength to secure subsidies for people who genuinely need it. The same approach applies to the expansion of the sales and service tax. It diversifies revenue and is part of prudent expenditure management. In turn, it allows for growth-enhancing investments, which generates equitable economic advantages and benefits for all groups, including businesses and the general public. After a wide consultation and careful consideration of feedbacks, numerous efforts to fine-tune, we have implemented the SST beginning today. but we took into account in order to minimize impacts to SMEs and the general population. There are several reforms in the pipeline that also support economic growth, build credibility and set governance examples. This includes judicial and institutional reform, fiscal and public sector reform, social protection and inclusivity reforms, digital and innovation-led reforms. Current global volatility makes reforms more, not less urgent. Institutional strengthening, fiscal discipline, innovation and capacity building are complements to sustainable, resilient economic expansion that is capable of weathering future global disruptions. In the next few months, Budget 2026 and the 13th Malaysian Plan will be tabled. Our focus will be pragmatic, sensible, and will also drive continuity in the nation's progress. While it's too early to share details, I can say that it will yet be another effort in securing our economic future, responding where necessary to current economic headwinds, and building a fairer, more equitable society. The capital market plays a key role in shaping ASEAN as an exclusive, transparent, and forward-looking investment environment. There are two key developments in this area. The first, Bursa's Centralized Sustainability Intelligence (CSI) solution. It helps listed companies align with reporting standards and derive practical value of enhancing transparency and investor confidence. This is part of the broader ASEAN interconnected sustainability ecosystem that sees the region's exchanges support a transition to a sustainable future. The second development is the Bursa Carbon Exchange, which adds depth to the ASEAN carbon market ecosystem by increasing supply of high-quality carbon projects. Aligned with the ASEAN strategy for carbon neutrality, it exists within ASEAN Common Carbon Framework and seeks to drive national carbon standards, mutual recognition of methodologies, and resource sharing in strategic areas such as capability building and interoperability. Ladies and gentlemen, I shall end my keynote here with this thought. While some may fear what tomorrow's headlines may bring, I'm often reminded of this truth. Times of great volatility are precisely when precious fundamental opportunities make themselves clearly visible. In Malaysia and across ASEAN, you will find most certainly the collaboration and cooperation needed to bring them to fruition. I look forward to seeing how we can explore these opportunities together and bring a better future for all. Sekian, wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Thank you very much, YB Minister.